So I bought the Spike Lee collection. I thought it'd be interesting, you know, 'cause I think he's pretty underrated. To go through all of his films and see him, and see, you know, how they are, if they've improved, unimproved, because he's got a few classics, but a lot of it's very mixed. But I thought I'd start off with one that's not in the collection, one of his most divisive films, the 2000 satire Bamboozled.
Oh yeah.
Bamboozled is very controversial at the time, and it's a very strange film. So the concept is that, I can't remember which Wayans it is. Damon Wayans is
it's the other one's Marlon.
There's loads in there.
Yeah,
more than two.
It's like a whole little family thing. But we've had like two famous ones of like Damon Wayans and Marlon Wayans.
Yes, who occasionally do some great work. Marlon Wayans is in Requiem for a Dream.
But he's also in a haunted house.
I know, I said occasionally.
Yeah, okay, very occasionally.
Yes.
Like Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love.
Yes. Yes, they're like the Adam Sandler of the Adam Sandler world.
Yes, yeah.
And Bamboozled is... so what happens in the film, very hard to describe. He's Damon. Very hard to describe without sounding racist. It's not like a difficult concept. Damon Wayans
just for a record, we're not racist.
We're not racist, and any racist language will be in quotations from the film.
Yes, yes.
So Damon Wayans is a black TV executive. Black TV. No, he's a black TV executive who's told by his racist boss, played by Michael Rappaport, that he needs to develop a more coonish show.
Oh God. And
he decides to put on Man-Tan, the new Millennium Minstrel Show, in an attempt to get out of his contract and to ruin the network. Man-Tan is a show where two black men who can't handle city life decide to move back to what is it? It's a plantation. I can't remember what it is now.
A southern plantation.
They move back to a southern watermelon plantation and decide to work there. And Man-Tan's sidekick is called Sleep and Eat.
Do they eat a lot of fried chicken?
Yes, well I don't know, yeah, well it's basically that's the thing, isn't it? It's all about the stereotypes of black men, and it's perpetrated by this minstrel show.
Yes.
Unexpected to him, the show becomes a big hit. It's basically the producers with more minstrels.
Oh God.
Yes. So I actually would give this a positive review, but I'm going to start off with the flaws. Okay. Because there are several flaws with this. This is one of the most flawed films I've ever seen. I would still say it's good. So the film was shot on DV tape and then blown up. And not DV tape now, DV tape in 2000.
Oh God.
It is a washed out, horrible, ugly looking film. The tone of the film is all over the place.
As expected.
Yes. Subplots enter and then exit for no reason. Scenes just come out of nowhere and then serve no purpose. Like, Jada Pinkett Smith plays his sidekick, and she has a brother who's a gangster rapper. And the way it introduces him is she's walking home and she goes, "Oh, hi," and he just enters frame.
Oh. And
then like there's a really random scene where he's just in the studio drinking malt liquor, and then he just like goes, "Turn the mix up," and this lasts about 5 minutes, and then it ends. Damon Wayans is putting on a bizarre accent the whole way through. He talks in a stereotypical white businessman voice. And he talks the whole way like this.
Oh, great.
His character's even called Francois Delacroix. It's weird. Damon Wayans is the worst part of this film.
Oh, okay.
He constantly puts on a silly accent and doesn't emote at all. There's a lot of distancing effects in this film. But it's just it's a mess. Like, me and my mate were watching it. He actually enjoyed it as well. He didn't even know, I don't think, who Spike Lee was.
Yeah.
But like, it's just such a mess. Like, in the end, spoiler alert, I would recommend watching this, but it's not a big spoiler. Well, it is because you never see it coming, but it just comes out of nowhere. He gets shot. There's Damon Wayans, and he's lying on the floor, and he's like dying. It's this big serious moment. And then voiceover kicks in. And he goes, "As I lay dying, I thought of the words of the great Negro poet." And it's just ridiculous. It's like you're invested in this, and all of a sudden, like this horrible.
Has it been established as a voiceover before?
Yes, but multiple different narrators who come and go for no reason.
Okay.
So the film is just a complete and utter mess. By most metrics, it isn't a good film. However, it is an incredibly haunting and powerful film. The bits of the minstrel show are shot in beautiful sort of 35mm, so they look amazing. There's obviously, he must have done it intentionally, shoot the rest of it on DV to look as ugly as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know for what real reason. Maybe to make the minstrel show look more attractive, so we could possibly buy into the idea that a minstrel show would be popular. Maybe. Do you think that a minstrel show would ever become popular?
I should hope not.
You should hope not.
I should hope not, but...
Well, what's interesting is that the inspiration for this is a really stupid idea, right? I think it was NBC were going to make a show which was going to be about George Washington's wisecracking butler.
Oh, God.
So he was going to be like, George Washington was going to like try and abolish slavery, and he was like, I wouldn't count on that, George.
Oh my God.
So that was an actual show that was going to get produced before it was taken off at like the last minute because of too many complaints.
Oh, I can't imagine why.
No, so it's got a lot of relevance to it.
Okay.
And it's well, the minstrel show bits are just incredibly like, just so well directed. And there's like, there's a great jazz score to the film. But if you can get past all the terrible flaws, the fact it's a mess, it's just incredibly haunting. It's hard to watch. The N word and the C word are used so many times in the film, and it's so like disturbing watching, because it's filmed against the minstrel show is filmed against a live audience, like a lot of TV is, and it keeps cutting back to the audience, just lapping it up.
Oh God! And
it's really disturbing to watch. Like the way it's filmed, it makes it seem realistic, even though it's completely ridiculous. And it's just there's a really disturbing bit at the end, like near the end, where they're trying to buy time, because the guy who plays Mantan develops a conscience and he sort of is arguing whether to go out or not. So like the announcer like goes into the stage, and then like all these like white people in blackface are all going, "I'm a real N-word," and they're all screaming at it, and it's a really disturbing film to watch.
Okay.
It'll have a real impact on you. Like I've been thinking about this pretty much constantly since I watched it about 5 days ago, and all the flaws almost are one of the reasons why. It's such an ugly mess of a film, but it has such like a resonant themes in it, and it's one of these films where it's not a good film, in a way. It's just a mess, but it'll just haunt you. It's so disturbing to watch. It's basically a film. It's a lot like. Have you ever seen the film Network?
No.
The classic one that everyone talks about. The famous bit where he goes, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore."
Vaguely, no, not really.
It's like one of the most famous film quotes of all time.
Don't know it.
You don't know it. It's like. Well,
don't know it.
Yeah. It's a lot like that. It's not subtle at all, but the characters are so hideous in it, and it's so disturbing to watch. You'll just think about it all the time. Really disturbing film. I would give it like a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's hard. You can't give it. It's a 1-star film with a 10-star film in it.
Oh, okay.
Some bits of it are so good, and it's got one of Spike Lee's the best sequences in his entire career. It has at the end like a 5 to 10 minute montage of all like blackface set to an amazing jazz soundtrack. Like it's like this mournful, brilliant montage of all the different uses of like blackface and all the offensive like caricatures of black people in like 40s films. It's one of the best sequences of his career. It's just worth watching just for that near the end.
Oh yeah.
It's a really good scene, but there's just so much wrong with this film. Like there's a bit like a 10-minute bit where it introduces a three-way love triangle between Jada Pinkett Smith, Damon Wayans, and whoever plays Mantan.
Oh yeah.
And then like it never goes anywhere. It just establishes it and it drops it. And there's a bit where Damon Wayans goes to see his dad, and the way it's introduced is like in voiceover it just goes, "I thought of my father and thought I should go see him," and then he just goes to see him.
Okay.
And then like the father is like, I can understand where it comes from a thematic point of view, because his dad represents someone who is like a black man who has integrity, because he's a stand-up comedian who has like no money and he's a drunk, but he has integrity, and he has a belief in like not producing a black and white minstrel show anyway, and like it's meant to showcase how far his son's fallen by becoming like this horrible caricature of like what's the word? He's basically, Damon Wayans is playing a caricature. He's playing like a black man who's assimilated completely with a white person, to the point where he just isn't like, where he's like a parody basically.
Yeah.
And this brilliantly portrays, the best performance in this is Michael Rappaport, the white guy there. He's on Friends and a load of other stuff. He's like a bit part player. He's amazing in it, because he's like, I'm blacker than you are, I got a black wife and 2 biracial kids.
Okay.
He's great in the film. A lot of great bits. A whole lot of shit.
Fair
to say, but watch it, and it's definitely a film that will have a reaction. Like, you won't watch it just thinking meh. Like, I've seen like half of Spike Lee's films now, and they're either all amazing or they're just so bad you have to think like Old Boy. That was not a film where you were thinking like, this is okay, was it?
Well, it was just awful.
But it was awful in a way that was at least interesting, wasn't it?
Vaguely.
But all the way through, it found new ways to be bad, didn't it?
What's weird with Old Boy is I wouldn't even really call it a Spike Lee film.
No.
He's got none of his trademarks, stylistic traits or themes or anything.
No.
The only Spike Lee film I've seen is Do the Right Thing.
Which is a classic.
Oh no, I've seen the yeah. Do the Right Thing is excellent. I absolutely love that film.
Yep.
25th Hour. I've seen 25th Hour as well. I do thought it was okay.
Yep.
You know.
That's a film that's apparently a lot better every time you watch it. It seems a classic now, but
I know. But when I watched it, I thought it was.
I don't like it that much.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I've seen a lot. There are a lot of great ones. Malcolm X is the classic.
Yeah.
But so I'll be talking about all of them, and then we will conclude with a shit's peek on his horrible, apparently, film She Hates Me.
Alright.
Have you heard of She Hates Me? This is the premise.
See, this is the thing with Spike Lee as a filmmaker that I find interesting, that he is such a kind of reactionary filmmaker, and he makes these big important statements, but I think he's a bit of an idiot.
He is a bit of an idiot.
Like, his comments come across as kind of outdated, and he's not really in touch with what's going on, which is ironic because he's making films all about the experience of, being a black person in America.
Yeah.
Like he said, like in an interview that the great stories of black people haven't been told yet, and I'm like, well, look at the history of film, and there's plenty.
Yes.
I don't know. Well, like that's just feel like most of his films are critically acclaimed, but I think he's not a director that's well seen. His films not really widely watched.
I think that's mainly because of who he is.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
And also because he's one of them filmmakers who's hit his peak. His peak was the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And now he makes. This is weird though. Even now he's seen as like a bit over the hill. But he made a documentary on HBO called When the Levee Breaks.
Oh yeah.
Which is considered to be one of the best documentaries of all time. It's considered an absolute masterpiece, and he got like nothing but rave reviews. He even won a Peabody Award, which seems the highest award you can give for like art. I think he won a Peabody Award. I'm fairly sure. But yeah, he just makes like every now and then he'll make a classic, but he has dwindled a lot.
Yeah. But like he's it's almost like we talked about Modest Mouse a lot recently.
Yeah.
It's almost like the way Modest Mouse used to make these really amazing, great, influential albums. Now they kind of just make like trash.
Yeah.
They're trying to rekindle the glory days while also trying something different. I think Spike Lee is similar.
Yeah. I also think Spike Lee is a filmmaker a bit like Quentin Tarantino, where like the acclaim just went completely to his head.
Oh yeah.
He can't edit. This film is way too long. An hour 30 for a comedy. No, sorry, 130 minutes.
I was going to say, an hour 30 is pretty fair for a comedy.
Yeah. 130
just over 2 hours. You shouldn't really.
You feel it as well.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll finish with a watch of his most hated film, She Hate Me. This is the premise. A brilliant black man who's like an executive at an Enron type firm brings the firm down, and he's unemployable. And his incredibly attractive ex-girlfriend, who's now a lesbian, pays him 10 grand to impregnate her the old-fashioned way by having sex with her. And then 18 other lesbians want him to impregnate them by paying him 10 grand each.
Oh God.
Yeah, everyone hated this film. He got one good review. It's got 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. It got one good review. A 9 out of 10 from Roger Ebert. Which is really random.
That's weird.
But yeah,
we'll check that out.
Yes, and I'll be reviewing each one in turn up until then, and we can also collaborate on Old Boy.
No, but I think when we watched Old Boy, that was the moment when we said, you know what, it's a shame we don't have a camera to like record a review. And I think that might have been the inception moment when we were like we could do it. Right?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we should have like a channel review film. So it's almost like coming full circle.
It is.
I would quite like to rewatch Old Boy.
We'll get to Old Boy
eventually. But
Bamboozled is a failure of a film, but the most interesting failure you could imagine. An incredibly haunting, powerful film. Go watch Bamboozled, and I'll probably do.